Unresolved trauma is likely to be the biggest driver for mental health problems. The biggest thing behind many of the reasons that we seek therapy. So it might be useful to wonder, are there situations that therapy cannot help with trauma? And are there ways to anticipate or even overcome these potential barriers towards healing? Hi, I'm Jessica Johns-Green. I'm a licensed professional counselor. I have over 15 years experience in helping people through the effects of trauma. I also work with body image and eating disorders, as well as help performers and athletes excel in their chosen field. So let's talk about what I see as three major ways that therapy might not be able to address our trauma, as well as things that we might be able to do, actions we can take that can help protect us from wasting our time and our energy. I think the first thing to name is maybe what some might be thinking now, which is, well, is it trauma? Is it really trauma? Maybe I'm just depressed. Maybe I'm just anxious. Maybe. But this leads me to one of the first things that I would name, which is difficulty being realistic about the effects of things that we've experienced throughout our lifetimes. Whether this is a singular traumatic event, some kind of accident or attack that has led us to have some sort of after effects, or whether it is an ongoing sort of slow simmering lifetime of experiences. One way that we can develop to cope with this is just to say, hey, maybe this is just me. Maybe I am too sensitive. Maybe I just need to get over it. And although I don't want to turn you into some sort of trauma hunter that is looking to name everything as trauma, I think that really if you are experiencing some sort of mental health type symptoms, difficulty sleeping, difficulty taking care of yourself, ongoing anxiety, ongoing depression, relationship difficulties, finding it hard to get your needs met in relationships, or finding it difficult to stay on task with school or work or something like that, and this is an ongoing problem that you're thinking something is wrong, it is worthwhile to look back and think, well, how have things in life affected me? Some of these things we might become very used to naming as this is just normal, or this is just how my childhood was, or, hey, that happened to me, but I got through it. There's a truth to that, but there's also a danger that we could be overlooking the parts of us that are still suffering and trying to find a way to manage the effects of that experience that maybe we've become too used to, or we're just not noticing anymore. So how to deal with this? I think it can be very useful to tune in to your body, those emotions and body reactions that we can get. We naturally don't want to feel them. We don't want to feel anxious. We don't want to feel uncomfortable or tense or overwhelmed. And so finding a safe way to do that, maybe with the help of a therapist, maybe in something like a yoga class, or finding a way to work with your breath, just to start to sit with the body. And what I would say as a good mindset as you do that is to remind yourself that any emotions, sensations that your body is bringing into your awareness are there to give you information. And so just to stay curious, what is that information? Journaling can also help, writing things down, or again, running things past someone who can give you a sort of reality check. Is that a normal thing to happen? So, a therapist who is trauma informed, a therapist who can help to guide you in that, or even a close friend or a support group of some kind. The second thing that I think is really important, and a major way that therapy will fail in helping us with trauma is when the type of therapy, the mode of therapy, is reactivating the trauma symptoms, if you will, in some way. So a lot of us have ways of regulating our nervous system that are extremely unhelpful in getting past that problem to a point of healing. So, as maybe an example, substance use, impulses towards very dangerous behaviors, self-harm, or sort of acting out in some way. When we sort of psychologically or physically shut down, become kind of numb, or, even just kind of running away, hey, this is too much, I'm out of here. Traditional talk-based therapy, so therapies where you're just kind of talking through the problems, nothing against these, but when it comes to trauma, for certain people, it can be very traumatizing in itself to have to talk through every single element of the experience that they went through. And what will be happening inside the nervous system for some of us is that the nervous system is becoming really activated and overwhelmed. It doesn't really differentiate that well between, hey, we're just remembering this thing that happened versus this thing happening. It kind of, this part of our nervous system very much exists in the here and now. And so when it feels the threat, it will go into survival mode. And if we have ways of surviving that sort of interrupt our lives, interrupt our ability to engage with others, interrupt our ability to feel, which many of our survival strategies are like that, then we can find the process interrupted. Either because, hey, we're just unable to carry on with therapy, maybe things have become too much, or we can almost become distracted by these problems. You might end up spending either the therapy sessions or even just on your own being like, oh, okay, well, yeah, I got drunk again, and dealing with that crisis rather than dealing with what's driving it. So this is nothing against talk therapy. And for some people, talking through a trauma can feel useful, but finding a therapist who is trauma informed, once again, a key thing, and really working with that therapist to start to understand how your body is responding. The therapist who is trauma informed hopefully will be trying to tune in with your reactions and noticing when you're going too much into that sort of activated threat state, and helping to guide you to notice that so that we can take it back down. There are lots of ways of addressing trauma in therapy that do not include having to talk through every single little element of the experience that, left you with scars. A lot of times just working with the body, working with what it's like to feel overwhelmed, how to tolerate that, can be enough. So, being very cautious with who you choose, how you choose it. Again, like being okay to, try different modes and to speak to your therapist about your needs will be really, really important. The third way that therapy can fail us in dealing with trauma is when we are still in the traumatic experience. This doesn't mean don't seek therapy. If you are still living through some sort of dangerous, traumatic, abusive experience and you feel like you're ready for therapy, go get it. But understand that the nature of the therapy may not necessarily be helping you through trauma at that point. It may be more about support, listening, bolstering your self-esteem, decision-making, safety planning, identifying ways that you can survive and cope. Once the trauma-inducing situation is over, your body, you are in a safer place, then we can begin digesting what needs to get digested from that experience and help to heal from the trauma. It needs to happen in stages like that, because even if, say, in a therapy session, you get some, clarity on a way that your body has been managing that level of threat, and has gone into survival mode, if you have to leave from that session and go back into that same situation, it's going to not only just feel disheartening, but chances are you'll probably kind of not be able to put a lot of that stuff into practice, right? Because your body needs those, survival strategies to get through. If anything, it's not necessarily trauma therapy, but you could work with a therapist to discuss safer ways to survive, because sometimes we have ways of surviving that have a sort of unintended negative consequence attached to them. So identifying those and working on that stuff. When you're safe, then you can begin to heal. So those are just 3 ways. Maybe there are more. Certainly, I would very much be honored to hear about your successes and failures in dealing with trauma in therapy. Feel free to drop them in the comments below or send me a message or email separately. The ways to contact me are in the description of this video. I wish you health. I wish you happiness. I wish you healing. Until next time. Bye.